We are live with another journaling room. We are live in the journaling room today, as we are on a Monday at 9 p.m. GMT, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's always great to join live. So as you jump on, do let me know where you're joining from. Excited about today's conversation and the book that we'll be discussing today, amongst who knows where this conversation will go today, but we're going to have fun. So do let me know where you're joining from. It's always great to have you on. I love to see the comments on the stream. I do try and get to all of them. And again, if you have questions, do feel free to jump on. So as always, we're talking about journaling. I'm the journaling queen, and I love people journaling for their mental health and all of that good stuff. So we're talking about journaling. We're talking about publishing books, as I do. I help people self-publish, and we're also talking about how we're leaving a legacy. So again, let me know where you're joining from. As I always share some of the things that I've been working on. So I have the privilege of working on a devotional these last couple of days with an amazing client from up north. She's actually the dean of a Bible college, so we're working on her devotional series at the moment. So that's been a real blessing. And working on another anthology. This must be my fourth now that I've worked. It's typically a women's leader or someone working with a large group, and they want to give everyone in that group a platform. So the first one I did, the first one feels like it was Ordained Magazine, which is a magazine I had a few years ago. The next one I did was with Claudine Reed, and we just thought might have maybe 10 ladies. We end up with nearly 50 ladies and 3 books, and we did that anthology, which was an amazing experience. And I'm working on another one at the moment with a group of ladies. So it's a real joy being in the writing rooms and just helping people just to pull out and write and draw out their stories and be really creative. So that's some of the things that I've been working on. I hope everyone is doing well and they are taking some time out to journal. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in and bring our guest up today. I'm really excited about this conversation. Speaking about journals and anthologies, we're going to dig into that a little bit more. But my guest today is none other than the Marcia Dixon MBE. She is, if you're in the Black Christian community, you know Marcia Dixon from years ago, gospel concerts and all sorts. She's was a columnist at The Voice, that's Britain's most well-known Black newspaper, and now she is the publisher and editor of Keep the Faith magazine. She is an MBE, as you can see, and also she spent a lot of time in Zoom rooms during lockdown having discussions about singleness and the church and divorce and building successful relationships. And this is the book that we're going to be discussing today, Christian, Black and Single. More on that shortly. It's a collection of essays by different authors. And also another thing that we may touch on today is she is a volunteer lead member of the Black Church Domestic Abuse Forum. So Marcia busy. Marcia,
not as busy as you. Not as busy as you. Thank you for having me on today.
Great having you on. I'm so excited about this conversation. And I was talking about this book. As I said, it's kind of been a little bit of a love and relationship series that has been going on this month. And so it made me think of this one right here about, Black, Christian and single. And the ladies and the men actually that you worked with on this book. Tell us a little bit more about this book, because there's some real challenging topics that you handle in this book. So tell us a bit more how it all started.
Well, it kind of started, I during lockdown and even before lockdown, I used my page to talk a lot about relationships, singleness, marriage, divorce, putting up loads of stories and attracting loads of comments as well. In fact, I used to write about relationships and stuff in The Voice as well. My focus was particularly on singleness, partly because I was single, but also as well, there's lots of single people within the Black church and within the Black community. And I'm talking about the Black Caribbean community. So I saw some statistics the other day with regards to the amount of people within the women within the Black community that are single. I think it was saying that there's 57% of Black women are single. That compares with about 10% for the Asian community. So we have a very high rate of singleness. And I know from my conversations over the years, predominantly with people in the church, but I've also heard from people outside, a lot of those women wanted to be married. As Christians, you know, that is a thing. If you want to, you know, have married, enjoy a sex life, you need to get married. And people were feeling that they weren't able to do that. So from my discussions, I thought it would be really good to bring together a range of voices, young, old, middle-aged, single, divorced, pastors, etc., to just give their views on marriage. I approached a number of people that I knew directly. A lot of them were people that I developed a relationship via social media, and asked them to contribute to my book. And they were really happy to do so. So I think I've got about 14 or 15 essays, forgive my ignorance there, of women, men and women talking about a whole range of things. So there's encouraging pieces, some from people who enjoy being single, they have no interest in being married. I've got some contributions from people that are divorced. Again, some of them, they have absolutely no interest in being married. And then I've got some other contributions from people who are living their life, enjoying their life, but they are hoping, believing, trusting that they will find somebody. So the majority of people who contributed to this book were single, apart from the two men who contributed. Two of the writers are now married. One has a child. So I'm really, really quite excited about that. And I've had really great feedback from the book in the sense that people found it really, really encouraging, insightful. It touched on things that they were experiencing and are really grateful for it. And I think it's one of the few books written by Black Christians that look at give a broad view about single life for Christians.
And it's fascinating because you have a broad age range as well. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of some of the experiences from the younger perspective and the older perspective?
Well, I've got people in from their 20s up to their 60s contributing to the book. So the younger ones who contributed, you know, it was very much about encouraging others in the faith who were single to not lose heart and just focus on serving God. Others wrote about enjoying their life, traveling, serving God, you know, building their careers. Others talked about, you know, how they approach the whole area of being single and how in their desire to find somebody, they looked at various aspects of their behavior. I also had professionals like counselors contributing who just shared about how for some women who wanted to get married, they found having counseling sessions actually helped them deal with whatever issues or barriers that they had towards love, and they found love. Others were just talking about their experience as divorcees, you know, older people talking about their experience as divorcees. Others were talking about their experiences just supporting people within the Christian community who wanted to get married and were finding it a struggle. Then we had the men just writing about what men were looking for, and a pastor just wrote about how he dealt with singleness in his church in terms of helping people to find partners. And he saw the rate of marriages within his church go from 2 a year to 8 a year over a 5-year period. So it was, you know, it wasn't just pushing marriage. It was about every aspect of singleness, including people who were very open and honest about how they felt about their single life. And one of the chapters was somebody actually talking about how she actually dealt with her sex drive. That was a bit X-rated. No, not really. I'm just joking. But it was very in depth.
Yeah, and real.
Yeah, and real. Very real. So yeah, it was I enjoyed putting it together. I mean, you've put anthologies together, so you kind of understand the process of that. Just reading people's stories. I don't think any of my writers really needed any help in terms of putting the chapters together. And for
Nice.
some of them, it was their very first time contributing to an anthology. So it was kind of like a good experience for them.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed putting it together. And I actually want to do another one. I've taken too long to do my next one, but I would like to do another one.
Nice. So would it be like a part two of this one?
It will be a different focus, where it be more focused on dating and courting.
Nice. It's
Yeah,
so needed. It's so needed.
yeah.
So we're talking about Black, Christian and Single, available on Amazon if anyone's interested. Great collection of stories. As Marcia said, so many different perspectives, so many gems. And yeah, people just really kept it real, you know, and I think the church perspective was really powerful as well in terms of where people felt let down by the church.
Oh, very much so. That was a friend of mine, a male, who read it. He said he thought the angle of the chapter was called "Famous Last Words" by Roni Henderson. He thought that was really, really powerful and unique. Just really talking about how members of my generation, some members of my generation, felt about the church and the stories we were told, or rather the messages that we were preached to and the teaching that we received about singleness and relationships. And there's a whole generation of women who feel that they missed out on marriage and children because of the teaching that they received from the church. And I think I think those voices are also very important voices. And one of the things I've noted, because I spend maybe too much time on social media, but there's a lot of discussion on social media about singleness. And there's a lot of people, men and women of all races, talking about their disappointment with the church in terms of how they treat single. I'm quite surprised, but how they treat singles. They feel let down. They feel they're treated like children. They feel that married people are put on a pedestal and their needs are not really met. All interesting. I found it all interesting and fascinating and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yes, I do notice the controversial posts that you share on your socials sometimes.
I've calmed down. I've calmed down.
Brilliant. So if anyone has any questions for Marcia, any questions about the book, Black, Christian and Single, do feel free to jump in the chat. And while we're speaking about the book and writing, Marcia, your work is based around words. And so I would love to speak to you, as I love to talk about journaling. I'm the journaling queen, but talk to us about the power of words and writing, whether that's personally and privately or writing publicly.
Okay. When I was younger, I used to keep a journal, and then I think I stopped because it was just too much. I just had too many books, and I was a student, so you had to write. And then at the age of 24, if I remember correctly, I started writing for The Voice. I'll be honest, when I first started writing, I didn't really fully recognize the power of words. I'm 24, I'm doing a job, I'm working for this newspaper, I'm having a great time. And it was only great time enjoying my work and the experience I had through that. And it's really over time that I've really begun to fully understand and comprehend the power of words, the power of language, the power of the written word. Obviously, I'm a Christian. I'm in church. When I was younger, went to church all the time, all the conventions. So I was more into the spoken word, if I'm honest. Obviously, working the written word, very, very important. And as the years have gone by, I have recognized how important it is to really think about what you're saying, what you're writing, because of the impact that they have had. And as a writer, for some of the things that I've written for the paper, I worked at The Voice. So I did a lot of interviews. I did a lot of reviews. I also wrote inspirational pieces. And as we're talking about words, I just remember a letter that I got. This was back in the day, before there was social media, before there was faxes, before there was computers. People wrote letters and they sent them in. So when you got a letter, particularly for us as Black people, we prefer to talk than write. It was a big thing. And I remember receiving a letter from a young woman, and I remember the article I'd wrote about the mercies of God. and she wrote a letter to say that she read the article and it stopped her from committing suicide because this is about 20 or 25, 30 years ago. She'd backslidden and she read the article and it stopped her from committing suicide. So for me, things like that demonstrated to me how powerful the words were, and I was really, really grateful. And it's a big thing to be able to write about God in a general newspaper that touches on everything. So that kind of really highlighted for me the power of words. And also as well, the articles, sometimes people would come back and say how being featured in The Voice kind of changed the trajectory of their ministries and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the time it didn't come back to me, but on the few occasions when it did, it kind of made me realize that the word is powerful, the media is powerful, getting a story published about yourself in the media is powerful. And I'm just really honored that God would see it fit that I could have a job like that and really touch people's lives in a positive way.
That's so good. I'm so glad that you said that, because one of my first features when I had House of Ilona, my clergy brand, was in The Voice.
Okay, yeah, I remember it caused a little bit of a storm, didn't it?
It did cause a bit of a storm, a little bit controversial. But yeah, because it was just so, people hadn't seen it before, and I've got these colours and these styles, and I've just added fashion to clergy, and it was like really controversial. I used to say it was like Marmite. People loved it or hated it. And we've got Reverend Jessie. She was one of my clients many years ago.
Oh, wow.
Louisiana. So good to see you on. But yes, I remember it was one of my green clergy shirts, and it was right by The Voice, where it said The Voice, and it was right there on the homepage. And there was a whole
it was on the front, wasn't it? They put it on the front.
It was.
I mean, I didn't know they were going to do that. But you was the one who told me the kind of the positive repercussions of that story. And I think you got other media coverage in other publications as a result of it, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, again, life-changing, because then I think it was coming up to Easter time. So the media went crazy because they were like, this is a great story. It's fashion, it's Easter, it's, the Christian angle.
So where else did the story go? Because you never told me all of that bit.
So it ended up, put it this way, I had a friend who was from New York, went to go see her dad in Atlanta, and he was like, honey, have a look at this article. And she's like, that's my friend Camille's business. So it went all over the place. I remember getting a phone call on the bank holiday, or just after the bank holiday weekend, and someone was checking on their order. And so I was like, checking it. Yeah, no problem, I'll check that for you. And I was like, how did you hear about House of Ilona? And she said, in the Times. And I was like, okay, thank you, bye. What? It was in the Times, the Washington Post, the Huffington. It went all over the place.
Wow, okay.
The first place it was the article you wrote in The Voice.
Oh, right. See what I did for you? Oh, wow. Okay, I think I remember. I do think I remember it went everywhere. Yeah, that's the power of a story, at the right time and stuff like that. People look at smaller publications or specialist niche publications and think, nothing's going to happen when my story's there. But journalists are always looking for stories, and sometimes they will go to the local newspapers or the niche publications to get that kind of different kind of story. So that's really, really good to hear.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say to someone who has a story, they have something inside of them, maybe they've always wanted to write a book, or, they know that they need to be more out there, more public, more visible. Maybe there's a bit of shyness, intimidation, who's going to want to hear my story anyway? And maybe they are writing privately and personally, but that needs to be more public, whether that's in the media, whether that's publishing. What would you say to someone in that space?
I think, everyone's got a story. So it just depends on why you want to publicize the story. Is it about your business? Is it about an aspect of your personal life? Is it you want to share some professional information, for instance? I'm kind of thinking now to an event that I had where you was present, when an individual, I used to run meetings for women. And on this particular occasion, the host said to people, come up and share something that you've never shared before. So I'm there thinking, okay, people are just going to share kind of just, nothing too deep. And one of the people actually shared, and I'm using it as an example. She spoke about the domestic abuse that she was experiencing, to everybody's surprise. But that was a release for her. Furthermore, I'm sure that it helped her to, one, get out of her relationship. But secondly, years later, she published a book about that experience. And I think there's certain things that you share your story, and you could share it in a public forum, or you look to see if you can get your story in a publication or whatever, because you just want to share it. And there's other instances where it's worthwhile people talking to people like yourself to say, is there merit in me sharing this particular story? Do you think people will be interested in it? And they can work alongside somebody, particularly if they've never written before, to sort of like just get that help, guidance and assistance so that they can structure their story properly. So it all depends on what the story is, what you want to get out of sharing that story, and for people to really consider the kind of forums where they share their story.
And again, that's a great example that you just shared, but that was the host saying, come and share your story. This lady comes and shares her story, but then that carries on for you, because then there's work that you've continued off the back of that as well, isn't there?
Oh, in terms of the domestic,
Yeah.
yes. So that's what happened. So I'm a lead part of an organization called the Black Church Domestic Abuse Forum. One of the things that we aim to do is to actually go into churches and train people how to deal with some victims of domestic abuse within a congregation. But the BCDAF, as it is called, its root comes from this particular lady sharing her story at my breakfast. And it wasn't me, it was somebody else who was there at the event. And hearing this lady's story triggered her experience of domestic abuse. And she just thought, let's talk about this. Let's see what can come out of it. And we had talks for over 3 to 4 years. And we were able to launch the organization. I believe it was in the pandemic, so I believe it was 2021. Forgive me, sometimes I'm not great on dates. But that all came as a result of someone sharing their story. So stories are powerful. I mean, I publish a magazine, you published a magazine, you publish books. Stories are intrinsic to what we do. We both provide platforms for people to share their stories, whether it's they write about them themselves or they get interviewed about their stories. Even after all these years of writing, I still like sharing people's stories.
I love this. So Marcia, with all the work that you've done, that you're doing, what is the legacy that you want to leave?
Legacy. One of the things that I do through my work is really chronicle the role of the Black church in people's lives, in terms of whether it's individually, how the message that they preach has transformed people's and individuals' lives, or what churches or what Christians do in the community. And I think one of my legacies that will be left, unless my writings get destroyed, is kind of like all the people that I've interviewed over the years. Their stories, will be, I believe that they're at the British Library, because they get copies of all the newspapers and stuff like that. And then I have my magazine, and it's just the sharing of people's stories, chronicling the role of the Black church in particular, its role in people's lives, its role in the Black community. That has been my niche over the years, and I enjoy writing about the church. I enjoy writing about how the gospel transforms lives, transforms people, transforms communities. And yeah, on occasion I've critiqued the church as well, but my legacy will be in providing a platform so people can get an insight into the Black church and the people that make up the Black church and the stories of the people within the Black church.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Marcia. So we've been talking today about Marcia's book, Black, Christian and Single. It's available on Amazon. There's more coming. And also Marcia is editor of Keep the Faith magazine. Where can people get a hold of that and hear more about the magazine, Marcia?
Well, they can visit the website. The magazine is available on our website at www.keepthefaith.co.uk. And Camelle has actually wrote an article about journaling for the magazine. She's never approached me to write another one, but that's okay. That's okay. But she wrote a really great article about journaling in the magazine. Keep the Faith is a magazine. It's Britain's leading magazine about the Black Christian community. It comes out every 2 months, and we're currently working on the Black History Month edition. And one of the features about the magazine is that we're open to hear feature article ideas from Christians, and if we like them, we'll publish them. We don't pay anyone to write for our publication. However, it can serve as a really great launch pad for people who want to get into media. In fact, I want to share a story about somebody using Keep the Faith to launch them into media. I went to speak at an event once, and there was a young lady there, and she came up to me afterwards and asked if she could write for the magazine. And I said, no problem. She did a column for me. She stayed for about maybe 4 or 5 months, and then she went on to work for Premier Radio, where she also worked for a couple of secular publications. But I share that story because later on down the road, she shared with me that she felt compelled by the Holy Spirit to actually come to the meeting to connect with me in order to get that opportunity to get into media, which for me was just like, I was a little bit freaked out about it. But I thought, wow, God actually spoke to someone to come and connect with me so that they could get a job, get experience, which they were then able to use to get a proper job, for want of a better phrase, in media. I thought that was phenomenal, actually.
Brilliant. Bless you, Marcia. Yes, Valerie said it. Marcia Dixon's legacy is unmatched.
Valerie! Hope you're well, sweetheart. Hope you're well.
Yeah, absolutely legendary. Your legacy, it's everywhere, it's everywhere. So we are grateful to you, Marcia. We're grateful to God for you, and just honor everything that you've done. It's a living legacy that you're continually producing. So just thank you for all that you do. And my final question to every guest is, what is life teaching you right now in this season?
What is life teaching me? One, that I need to rest. What is life teaching me? Sort of like, what when you're young, you kind of think, when I say young, in your 20s, you kind of think people in their 40s, 50s, whatever, are old, and they are old compared to when you're young. But when you get there, because I had my 60th birthday the other day, I'm enjoying life. I wouldn't want to be young again. The only thing I'd go back to be young again for is maybe to get married and have children, because I'm still single. But aside from that, I'm enjoying my age. I'm enjoying my maturity. So I suppose life is teaching me at the moment that there's joy to be had in your mature years, because you're settled in who you are. You know who you are. I've been a Christian a long time. You've seen God move in your life a number of times. You have a greater understanding of people, your purpose, your mission, and I've got good health. I earn enough to kind of live reasonably comfortably. So I'm grateful. So what life is teaching me is that maturing in life can be a good thing. I'm enjoying my life here and stuff.
This is beautiful. Thank you so much. This has been Marcia Dixon, author of the compilation Black, Christian and Single, available on Amazon.
My copy here. I was told to bring 3 copies, and Camelle never even asked me to show my. But anyway, I've enjoyed this conversation, and hopefully Camille will write for the Christmas edition of Keep Faith.
Absolutely. We'll talk about some journaling and publishing in there. My good friend Cher is on. She said, this is such a wholesome statement. Thank you so much. Thank you for those that are watching. It's been great having you on. Thank you for the feedback and the questions and the good vibes. And looking forward to seeing you next Friday, same time, same place, 9 p.m. here in the journaling room. And I may have a special coming up for you. This Friday, I'll be potentially having Clifton and Marie Reed, my sister,
who I also interviewed for Keep the Faith, not Keep the Faith, for The Voice.
Yeah,
confused, but yeah.
So yeah, hopefully I'll have them on. So that will be a bundle of laughs on Friday at 9 p.m. as well. But yeah, I'll definitely give more information about that. But Marcia, again, thank you for
inviting me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been awesome. And get the book if you're Christian, Black Christian, and single. Get the book.
Yeah, invite me to your church.
Invite Marcia to your church. If you need any PR, marketing, that sort of thing, Marcia is your girl. Valerie says, Marcia, keeping it real as you. We love it. We love it. All right. God bless everyone.
Take care. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Camille.